Guess what, Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes fans? Somebody has soloed Phase 3 of the Sith Raid. That's right, we knew it wasn't going to take very long. Yesterday I showed you a video laying the groundwork for just how to do it, using what I am now calling the Infinite Exposure team, until we come up with a better name. Today, Kevin from my Arena Shard was able to use that method and get almost a full solo. I think there was a few percentage but he essentially got the solo. You can see 36 million damage here. It is a slightly different team, and I want to show this video because you get to see the full solo, and then you also get to see that there is a sub. You can use Leia here instead of, in his case, he used instead of Chewie. I really like Chewie and would rather use Leia instead of Ezra, but either way, this is enough to get it done. I actually wasn't sure if he was going to do it. You can see his mods here. He doesn't have a ton of potency. He's gone all out with mod sets and mod primaries, which you have to do, but he doesn't have great secondary potency mods like the last video I showed you did. And we don't have the very beginning here, but you can see we're starting near the front. The key difference here compared to the last video is Traya gets downed when C-3PO has either full turn meter or near full turn meter. So Traya's turn meter is starting at the bottom. In the previous video, Traya's turn meter started near the top. So this gives us a lot more room for air, and that's what's going to allow him to get through the entire phase here. Right now he is playing it manually. This is his first time doing this, so he didn't want to set it on auto right away. He could have set it on auto here and it would have been just fine. The computer will make all the necessary attacks. Once we get a little farther down the line here, he sets it on auto and just lets it run. Those of you who watched my previous video know exactly how this works. For everybody else, I'm going to briefly explain it here. So C-3PO calls all allies who have translation to assist. And Rebel allies are going to expose on their basic. So you've got Han who's going to attack twice. That's 2 chances to expose. Leia is going to attack at least 1 time, maybe as much as 3 times. So that's 1 to 3 chances for exposes. And Ezra is going to attack once and possibly twice. So those are very high percentages to happen to get multi-attacks. And Finn is the leader here. And what Finn's leadership does is grants all resistance allies 35% turn meter and resets their cooldowns by 1 anytime an exposed enemy is damaged. So every one of these attacks that triggers an expose is going to give C-3PO and Finn turn meter and reset their cooldowns, which allows C-3PO to call these assists over and over and over again. The only way this chain is going to be broke is if Traya is able to resist usually several attacks. Now, if Leia only gets off 1 attack and Ezra only gets off 1 attack, you still have four chances to expose. But if Traya can resist a couple of those, then that causes trouble, and we have to gain some turn meter naturally. You'll see that happen a couple of times here. The higher the potency we have, the less likely that is to happen. We don't know exactly what Traya's tenacity is. We have a few guesses. I'm not going to go into that. The higher potency, the better, to make sure you get the maximum chance of exposing on every Rebel basic. And then you've also got Finn, who'll be using his special every time his turn meter comes around, and his special will expose as well. Keep in mind, in addition to the potency I showed you, every Rebel is gaining 40% potency from C-3PO's unique with the translation buff. Finn is only gaining 10% because that bonus, 30% of that bonus is specific to Rebels. So he's not gaining as much, but his isn't near as important. His special will kind of act as an emergency. It can help a little bit. It's nice if he has an expose up when the assists are started, but his isn't as important as the Rebel basics are. Traya does gain 10% turn meter for each saber that is killed. So what he did in this run is he killed off 2 of the sabers with just a setup team, just basically a sacrificial lamb team, so that with this team, we only had to kill one saber to give Trey a 10% tenacity before we started. You don't have to do that, but to get the same effect, you'd have to stack 20% more potency than he did, which is certainly possible if you've got really good secondaries, and that way you don't have to waste a setup phase. But it's definitely helpful to do that. This team will only work in phase 3 when Treya is down, because every other time in the Sith raid, when Treya is up in phase 3, and both Scion and Nihilus, they gain stacking tenacity every time that they're hit. So these exposes will be resisted, and the turn will not go very long. And the big question has been, will this be nerfed? And I think that stacking tenacity is probably the best way to nerf this. CG Top Hat said that they were not going to nerf this for the tank raid. Basically, they didn't care about the tank raid because it could already be soloed anyways. This just made it a lot easier. But the Sith raid, they said they would take everything by a case-by-case basis. He definitely left it on the table to nerf this if it came into play for the Sith raid. Obviously it does here. You can do so much more damage than any other team. The Night Sisters do a ton of damage in this phase, but it is nowhere near this level right here. And I really hope they don't touch this team in any other aspect of the game, because we can use these mechanics even in arena. There are a lot of other places. I really hope they've just made the tank raid a lot easier, and that they're not going to end up nerfing that tank raid along with this. So if they give Treya stacking tenacity when she's down, that will completely ruin this team. Because of that, I cannot suggest strongly enough, do not invest resources into running this team if this is the only reason that you're doing it. Now, all of these characters are good in other aspects, so it's not like it's going to be completely worthless to gear them up. But still, don't invest resources trying to score well in the Sith raid. Because of this, I wouldn't even do it for the tank raid, because we don't know if that's going to get touched when they nerf this. I'm saying when they nerf this because I'm 98% sure that they're going to. I would like to hope that they won't, because this is so much easier than running the Night Sister team that I usually run here. It can do huge damage. I've got videos on that if anybody wants to see it, but it's not near as easy to set up. You can't do it on auto. This would certainly save a lot of time. But anyways, I'm going to speed this video up even faster, get through this last 17% here. You can see Trey does get pretty close to taking a turn, so there is some RNG element to it. You're not necessarily guaranteed a solo every single time. If you run Chewie instead of either Ezra or Leia, that's going to decrease your chance of getting poor RNG. As I've already said, more potency, the less likely you are to have any problems. But anyways, it's a very nice run, and congrats again to Kevin for getting this done, and thanks for letting me use your video. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and once again, have a great night.